Welcome back to the Ricky Mathews Show. We have so much to learn from people like Jeff Duncan. The fact that we have the opportunity to visit with him every Friday, man, for 3 years now. Jeff and I worked together when I was the president and publisher of the TimesPicayune.NOLA.com and the president of NOLA Media Group. And he was a star then. He's a star today, but we continue these conversations. It's been terrific to be able to stay in touch with him. But Kyle and I were talking off the air, the opportunity to visit with him and to hear all these things behind the scenes. I hope you feel the same way as listeners. It makes following the Saints so much funner because you get a lot of that behind the scenes stuff. That's what's so cool about it. Hey, one last thing before we move to our next guest. If you haven't signed up for the SuperTalk Mississippi News newsletter, do that. You'll be glad you did. SuperTalk Mississippi News is a news leader in this state, sending news to 51 radio stations across the state of Mississippi. When you consider that footprint along with the social media footprint and the fact that when news leaders in the state have something to say, they go to SuperTalk Mississippi first. There's no doubt about that. They are the news leader. If you're not looking to them for news, you got to sign up for the newsletter. You'll get breaking news. You'll get the weeks in review. You can download the app. You can go to supertalk.fm. But when you go to supertalk.fm, the first thing that pops up is the opportunity to sign up for the newsletter. I really encourage you to do that. We'll be actually starting on this show in the next week or two a review of last week's news. Talk about what you missed and to remind you why it's important to stay, kind of following SuperTalk Mississippi News because, again, we are the news leader. We have access to some of the newsmakers that others don't have access to, and we are informing this entire state. Okay, so now let's shift over to my friend. I love talking about the city of Ocean Springs. In fact, when they talk about is it WSOM? Is that right, Kyle? The call letters for this station. WOSM, thank you. Because, see, we call it SuperTalk Gulf Coast, but the formal name is WOSM, and it's actually situated officially in Ocean Springs, even though, go ahead, Kyle, were you going to say something else?
That's just for legal purposes, really.
That's for legal purposes, right? But when I hear that, I can't help but think about Ocean Springs, so I'm glad to have my friend Cynthia Sutton, who's the executive director of Ocean Springs and the director of Main Street Ocean Springs, joining me today. How you doing, Cynthia?
Good. Just rolling and going. It's maybe the summertime, but we got to keep activities going and generating traffic to Ocean Springs. So we're busy.
There is so much going on there. I've been there a couple of times. I'll actually be there again today, actually at 5.
Yay.
And visiting with some people at the Roost and enjoy coming to the city. My sister lives there. My mother is actually with my sister for a short period of time, but it brings me over there a little bit more regularly than I normally would. We can go to her house by boat, or we can come by car. But however we get there, it's always fun to enjoy visiting there. Hey, listen, I had the mayor on recently, and Kenny Holloway, the mayor of the city of Ocean Springs, and gosh, man, there's so much going on in that city. I mean, it's just incredible. But when you're in a good position because of your the Main Street program and the tourism opportunity you get. People are serendipitously being drawn off of I-10 or from Highway 90. They come into the city. They stop at your location, and you get a good sense of how things are going. Boy, there seems like there's a lot of activity, but what's your read on it?
Oh, there is actually. We see on average, since COVID, we haven't seen our full tourism stash of folks back, in our visitor center. So we're still seeing 400, but that's actually up a little bit from what we have seen lately. Our goal is to get back to the 500 and 600. So I know we eventually will, but to have 400 people come through our visitor center these last couple of months per month, it actually shows a big increase. We're seeing a lot of people that are still saying they just want something fun and relaxed to do, and that's what we can offer.
Yeah, it was unfortunate that the city unfortunately had a murder on Government Street, and I only bring it up because that's not what this show is about. But what I wanted to focus on is in our conversation with Kenny Holloway, we went into great detail about how quick the city was to react to that the use of that business was not consistent with what the brand of the city was all about, which is a wonderful, walkable, safe community for families and whatever. And they acted aggressively on that. But to what extent did you hear any blowback as a result of that?
Well, not too much as in business wise, we like to say one of our jobs is the voice of the business community. So we work with them very closely, visiting at least 100 businesses a week in person. That's what we do. So we spoke with a lot of them, and they were, bothered that it happened, but they literally were just like, this is just like what you just said. It's not really the norm of the traffic and the type of brand that we have in Ocean Springs, the businesses. Most of these businesses in downtown, restaurants, have been here for many years. They're very involved in the community. So they just want to see things continue to just keep rolling and going. And they're very happy to hear that the city is going to work on some of the safety issues to kind of make the lighting better and things like that to help them.
Yeah, I thought the city of Ocean Springs did a terrific job of responding rapidly to that and protecting the city, making it safer, and also protecting the brand of the city. And all people are welcome in the city of Ocean Springs. That's one of the beauties of Ocean Springs. It's this diverse melting pot of so many different people. I thought that Shari Davis from the Jackson Pearl, we've talked about this before, and I've mentioned it on my show before, but the way she described it, having come from California to start a business in Ocean Springs, that she said that the people here are so accepting. They don't care where you come from. They don't care the color of your skin. They don't care who you love. They love you. And that's what this city's all about. But when you have a situation that is unsafe, and it's the evolution of a business that's moving towards something that's not consistent with the use of the building, the city was able to take legal action pretty rapidly and deal with it and send the message that they're not messing around when it comes to what they want the city to stand for. That was good to see. Really good to see.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. And, our businesses really band together really quickly. It is a community in Ocean Springs, and specifically downtown Ocean Springs. The businesses banded together, spoke with each other, communicated with each other. And I think that was a really cool thing. I mean, we did see, of course, a little slowdown for a couple of days, but business as usual in Ocean Springs now.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to see. I felt the same way, incidentally, about Biloxi and the way they responded rapidly to spring break. And I know that every community, every mayor is thinking about this. What kind of new regulations can we put in place to make sure that promoters are responsible when they come to a city, and that they're doing the proper amount of coordination with the law enforcement groups and the fire department and the city and everyone else to make sure that what they do is safe and a safe event. And, the world is changing. We've seen it,
Exactly.
Spring breaks in Florida and Alabama and even Atlanta. And, you have to be aware. What happens is these spring break groups find the path of least resistance. They find the communities that don't have regulations in place to stop the kind of, serendipitous gathering that they want to do. And it's a problem. So, the internet has a way of inviting those kind of people to the table. And I think at the end of the day, we'll be a safer community for everybody, every single person. That's good. So I think, our cities are doing a good job of responding. Hey, listen, how's business when you talk to merchants in downtown Ocean Springs? What are you hearing from them?
They're happy. They've been really busy, which is really cool to see, especially, for us. Sometimes, it may be, it may be the summertime on the Gulf Coast, but sometimes we see a little bit slower traffic to our retailers. And so far, they're doing really great. We continue to create activities to bring people to those businesses. We have had, oh my gosh, I can't even think of how many. I'm going to guesstimate and say, 30 ribbon cuttings already this year. And we usually see 50 on average in an entire year. So business is going and rolling, and we're doing some fun things just to kind of keep that activity going. I don't know if you remember our program called the Pelican Pound that we did in 2013. It was a $5 coin. And so we brought that back for the summertime. So we're starting that up. So that's going to generate traffic and activity. $5 to spend for free. Come visit our town in Ocean Springs. We've been working really closely with Coastal Mississippi, our partners. And we actually have been visiting with travel writers probably twice a month, a motor coach operator once a month. So we're seeing activity and our businesses are enjoying it.
I had a really good visit here on the show with Greg Cronin and Judy from Coastal Mississippi Tourism. And when we get on the other side, I'll tell you what, with a massive agreement that we have as it relates to what makes this such a wonderful place to visit, what makes this such a wonderful place to live in. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Cynthia Sutton from the Ocean Springs Chamber and also Main Street Ocean Springs. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Mathews Show. I have my friend Cynthia Sutton from the Ocean Springs Chamber and also Main Street Ocean Springs. And, Cynthia, when I went to break, we were mentioning that you're coordinating well with Judy and her team at Coastal Mississippi Tourism, and that's great to see. I had a terrific visit with her and Greg recently on the show. And Greg, the chairman of the board of the board for Coastal Mississippi Tourism, and we talked about how this is, again, for listeners who are hearing me say this for the 500th time, bear with me because some people are just now listening and some just now hearing it, and repetition is what makes a solid understanding. But, Coastal Mississippi is a great regional effort. It's a major recommendation that we made. I had the pleasure of chairing the tourism recovery effort for the Governor's Commission after Hurricane Katrina. And one of the things that we recommended was that we go after tourism as a regional entity. It took a lot of years to work. In fact, in 2009, when I went to be Alabama Media Group president, I was the chairman at that time of the tourism committee for the Gulf Coast Business Council, and John Hairston became the chairman, and he drove it home. It took a little bit of time, but he drove it home, and we created the first major regional effort, and that is Coastal Mississippi Tourism. That's one of the reasons why I've been so focused on it. And I like where they are today. I still think there's some adjustments that need to be made legislatively. I think eventually we'll get massive agreement around those changes that won't allow the kind of dabbling that was happening before that caused us to kind of get off the tracks a little bit. But the reality is we're in a good place now. And so it's this regional effort. But at the same time, it's a collection of these small towns that make this such a wonderful place. And I love it, for a matter of fact, Cynthia, when you guys say, have you been to Bay St. Louis? Go make sure you check that out. And when you're in Bay St. Louis, they say, have you been to Ocean Springs? Have you checked out the quaint little town of Moss Point? Go check it out. Go see what's happening in downtown Pascagoula. But it is this collection of communities with their own unique sense of place that makes this such a major place. And Ocean Springs' role in that is humongous, isn't it?
Thank you. Yes, it is. I mean, Ocean Springs, we're very fortunate to have kind of the tea of the town downtown where everything kind of comes together and meets. We have over 100 plus businesses in downtown walkable. So it makes it a really unique place to visit. And, we work with our merchants every day, every week to improve. We're working on some beautification efforts in downtown. We're working on rebranding some of our organizational type colors and style. And all of that actually helps with that sense of place and bringing that people. People love color. You put a balloon outside, you put a flag outside, people are going to see that and want to come to that. And I would have to say that our downtown businesses do that kind of every day.
Well, you know what's interesting too, and you, again, over 100 businesses that are walkable in downtown. But then when you look at the number of restaurants within the city limits, Lord have mercy. And then you think about the evolution of these wonderful hotels, these small sort of micro hotels, these boutique hotels that have sprung up, and more being built. And then you have the mixed use that's building, and then you've got Gulf Hills and what it's brought to the table. But every time you turn around, there's something cool and new and exciting to bring more people to the city, isn't there?
There is. And, I think it's really cool that in Ocean Springs, we do rely on our research because we don't have those big attractors, of course, like the casinos. So we rely on those demographics, that research, to figure out what niche, what works for our community in Ocean Springs. And you mentioned like the boutique hotels, that actually fits. We actually have studies that show that people come to Ocean Springs because they like to stay in that quaint little boutique, which fits the aesthetic of Ocean Springs in downtown. So, there's always so many things going on in Ocean Springs, and with the 100 and plus restaurants and 100 and plus businesses that we have in downtown, it creates a unique sense of place that people love to come and see. I was speaking with a visitor from, I think it was Virginia, a couple of weeks ago, and it was a husband and a wife, and they just came in and they just enjoyed literally all day. They spent all day in downtown and popped from one thing to the other and made a whole day out of it.
Why not? You can go, Porter Avenue is beginning to blossom with the Collective, et cetera. And then you've got, the Walter Anderson Museum. You could spend a day there if you really want to soak it up and understand the contributions that he's made to the relationship between the people and the towns and nature and the islands. And Walter Anderson is a Renaissance man. I love spending time with Julie and talking about it because what he brings to the table, for people who don't know of Walter Anderson, to go there and study him and understand that he's so much more than an artist. He was a writer, literally a Renaissance man. And it's just, it's exciting to see. Listen, Cynthia, we're out of town for today, but listen, I really appreciate the work that you guys are doing, and for you taking the time to visit with me. We'll get together more often. And it's a reminder, actually, I got to get Roxy Condry on to tell the entire story of Gulf Hills now that it's moving forward rapidly. So it's good to see.
Oh, it's looking great.
I know it. I've heard that. I've seen pictures, et cetera. So anyway, hey, listen, it's been great to talk to you. Have a great day. Everyone else, have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.